Nick, very good to see you. Today we get to talk about the one money move that could add years to your nest egg. Let's address the number one fear of most retirees. That is, of course, running out of money. And
Right.
one way to make your nest egg last longer, figure out how to keep all of it in your pocket instead of sharing it with the government. So I'm going to show you this headline. This is the Wall Street Journal. How can converting your tax deferred accounts to Roth accounts add years to your retirement nest egg?
Yeah, it's starting to get a lot of noise, I think, because of
Yeah.
what's happening in well, really not even a couple years now. It's just about a year on what's going to be happening with the taxes and everything. So Wall Street Journal's picking up on it. I think this is going to make more national news as we start moving into the year. But basically, what they're saying is, and how Roth accounts can like the article said, add years to your retirement nest egg, is because Roth IRAs, they grow tax free. So if you have tax-free money when you retire, you can take withdrawals and not have to pay the taxes on it. Now, what that does is a couple things. Number one, it can stop those large required minimum distributions. A lot of people, as they get into retirement, are forced to take required minimum distributions, which is basically where the government adds up all your pre-tax accounts and then says you have to take out X amount of dollars out of it. So, it might be like 4%. So if you've got $500,000, and now all of a sudden the government comes in and says you got to take out $20,000 of a withdrawal. What's that do to your money? Drops it down. So it can cause you to run out of money a little bit sooner because now all of a sudden you got these forced distributions that you got to take. So Roth accounts can be great because not only does it grow tax free, but then there's no required minimum distributions on the Roths. And when you have a Roth and you have no required minimum distributions because the money's in a Roth, that can actually mean that you're in a lower tax bracket.
I see.
So when you need the money and you need to pull it out, if you need $10,000, all you have to do out of a Roth is pull out $10,000. Whereas if it's in an IRA and you need $10,000, you got to pull out $12,000
Yep.
to net the $10,000 because 2,000 or so has got to go to Uncle Sam because he wants his money when you take money out of those accounts. So that's why this article was written about this. And it's something that really needs to be on everybody's mind.
Right. Roth conversions saw a 44% jump in 2024. People want to take advantage of today's historically low tax rate. We've talked about it before, Nick, right? Living in historically low tax rates right now.
Exactly.
However, Donald Trump has pledged to extend his 2017 tax cuts. So, should we still be considering a conversion?
Absolutely. I'm not looking at the next 4 years or 5 years. Those years don't concern me as much as what's going to happen over the next 10 to 15 years after that.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we have to really be concerned with. If nothing happens, the tax cuts now are set to expire, what they call the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that was in 2017. It's automatically set to expire December 31st of 2025 if nothing changes. Now, that's what you were just saying. They're trying to extend it, but everybody's got to agree, and we know how Washington is. Nobody plays nice. So they might want to extend it, but the reality is, will it get extended? I don't know. I mean, hopefully, but we don't know. So here's how I look at this, is if it's not, you got to look at it like an extension on this is like a teacher saying the test is tomorrow instead of today. It doesn't mean that the test is going away. It's still going to happen. So they may say we're going to push back the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act a little bit. It doesn't mean taxes are going to stay at this level forever. It just means it gets postponed and kicked down the road to another day. It's still going to happen. Just like that test. Just because a teacher says it's tomorrow instead of today doesn't mean there's no test. You still have to study. And so on the left-hand side of this is where we're at right now. And this is why I say the taxes are lower than they may ever be. Because on the left-hand side, you'll see the tax brackets, 10%, 12, 22, 24, and so on and so forth. But if the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act sunsets like it's set to do December 31st of 2025, we're going to end up with the right side. The 10 bracket stays 10, but the 12 goes to 15, the 22 goes to 25, the 24 goes to 28, the 32 goes to 33, the 37 goes to 39.6. And all the politicians will say, yeah, well, these tax cuts or these tax increases are only going to affect the people at the top. Just look at this chart.
Yeah. No.
it's definitely going to affect more than just the people at the top. It's going to affect people in the 12 bracket going to 15. And so it's a pretty big deal. Definitely how I look at this is if the tax cuts are happening, or if they extend it, great. Look at that as an opportunity to have more years to do more tax efficient investing, or to do more Roth conversions. It's not a reason to stop and say, I don't have to worry about this now. No, it's just giving you extra time to study for that test. It's just giving you extra time to fix it before it can't be fixed.
What are some risks or downsides to Roth conversions that retirees should be keeping in mind?
Yeah, so the upfront tax bill, because whenever you convert, you got to pay the upfront tax bill, and sometimes that can cause Medicare premiums like the IRMA or Medicare surtax to occur, where you have higher premiums for your Medicare Part Bs and Part D. But here's what I want people to look at as the big picture. I have a scenario here. I'm going to walk you through it. This is actually something that we talk about at our live events. And what I do is I show people a scenario where I say, okay, a 65-year-old couple, let's say they live to age 90 years old, they're going to get a 4% rate of return, and they're in a 25% tax bracket. Okay, seems pretty fair. And they're forced to take the required minimum distributions. They don't want to take them, but they're forced to take them. And their IRA value is $500,000. And we'll play a real quick game, and I'll say, guess how much total taxes this couple is going to have if this money is in an IRA.
Yeah.
And when you add all of it up on that left-hand side in the gray, you're going to see the total taxes just on the minimum distributions between 65 and 90 is like $164,000.
Right.
And then you take that money and you reinvest it. And when you reinvest that money back into those after-tax accounts, those accounts get taxed too. There's another $67,000. And when you pass IRA money on to your beneficiaries, they get taxed. There's $106,000. So there's $338,000 in taxes on a $500,000 IRA. Now, if you do a Roth conversion, let's just say you had a wild hair and you just said, I'm going to do it all. Well, there's your $500,000 IRA that you convert to a Roth. Your taxes, you do have to pay them. That's, again, the downside.
Right.
You have to pay $125,000 or somewhere thereabouts. But then you don't have required minimum distributions, so you don't have to take that money out, and you don't have any taxes when that money passes on to your beneficiaries or death. So you don't have those other taxes. So really, you can lock in your taxes at $125,000 today, or pay $338,000 over your lifetime. And when you actually look at the dollars and cents of this, it makes a pretty stark contrast. Right. That it's hard to refute the fact that taxes are likely going up and you need to do something about it. As a matter of fact, I would encourage everybody to go to a website that we have set up for this called diffusethetaxbomb.com. Diffuse, D-E-F-U-S-E, thetaxbomb.com. And you can get a free copy of this book, Diffuse, the 7 Steps to Protecting Your 401k from the Ticking Tax Time Bomb. And it doesn't matter if you have 401k or IRA. It works the same. The strategies work the same for both. But we have copies of this book, and you can get a free copy of that book sent to you. We'll ship it to you right on there. And so this is going to give you some strategies that you can use while hopefully the tax cuts extend a little bit longer. It's giving you a little bit more time to do something about it.
Well, this is such an important conversation to have. Nick, I really appreciate the columns side by side because that puts it in stark perspective.
Right.
If somebody wants to crunch the numbers with you and learn more about strategic tax planning, which you specialize in, what's the best way to reach you?
Yeah, or strategic Roth integration too.
Yep.
How to integrate Roths in. We do a lot of strategic Roth integration into our plans. And but it all starts with, you've got to get a what we call a tax X-ray. That means getting an X-ray done on how taxes are going to affect you with how your money is set up right now, and then trying to compare it with, okay, if we do this, this, and this, what does it look like later on?
Right.
Do those taxes go down? And that's ultimately what we want to do. Mm-hmm. So you can just give us a call to set that up. it's like a quick 15-minute virtual strategy session call that we can set up where we can talk through these things. And all you have to do is just call us at 844-GROUP-10. There's also tons of information that we have out there on our website. Just go to group10financial.com and you can link through all those different things that we have available and resources that we have available. But really, most importantly, I think for listeners is, again, the book, because it's real quick, it's short. We wrote it so it was easy to read. You can read it in probably a couple hours, if that. But it will get your mind going about what the future could have for taxes and what you can do now to get yourself in a better circumstance.
Such an important read. Nick, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it.
Great being with you.